Okay, so looking at the first exercise solution, like I said, it must follow basically on the class example, which is what you see up to here. This is basically from the class example. And we first initialize our array to all 0 values using our shortcut method of inserting 0 into the curly brackets, thereby inserting the other zeros for us. So our array is initialized to all 0. Then the first thing we do is we write or initialize values into our array. Now here it's not 10 to 1 to 10 like in the example. It's in fact -1 to -10. Okay, how did we do that? Well, it all comes down to the arithmetic expression. Okay, so the arithmetic expression, you can see we are utilizing our counter variable value, but you have to know what is the counter variable value. All right, if I put it in commentary up here, just the first one or a few of the first one, I is going to be 0. Then the array, the first element array value must be -1. For the second iteration of the loop, I is going to be 1. Then the second element of our array must be equal to -2. And then you can obviously extend that through to -10. Okay, so let's see. I is 0. 0 plus 1 will give us 1. So the result of this bracket will give us 1 more than what the counter variable is. Okay, so it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 if we run through our loops, consecutive iterations. And we don't want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We want -1, -2. So we want the negative of it. And that's why we multiply with -1. Okay, but once again, make sure that you put I plus 1 into parentheses, because we want to change the order of operator precedence or preference. Okay, we want the addition to happen before the multiplication. Okay, so that's what we used, the arithmetic expression we used in order to initialize or write the values -1 through to -10 into our array. Then in this loop we print it out to the screen. Okay, that's the first print line. Let me just compile and run here. So this first print line, this line was printed by this loop here. And then we keep on going. Then in this loop here, we are now modifying our array. Okay, so we modify our array. Okay, how do we do that? Well, we said the current element must get the value. So here we specify array I must get the value of array I multiplied with the next element. Okay, remember when we go back to our output, we wanted the first element, which is originally -1, to become -1 multiplied by -2, which gives us +2, as you can see there. So how do we do that? By this expression here. We read from the current element and we multiply it with, we read from the second element. So we read the first element, we read the second element, and we multiply it together. Now, just see how we used, what expressions we used for the index. Remember, the first time the loop run, I is 0. So this will read ARR 0 multiplied with what? We want it to be 1 because we want the second element here. That's why we say I plus 1. We know I will be 0. We want it to be 1, so we add 1 here. We are not changing I here. Okay, we're reading from I, adding 1, and that is the index value that will be given to the read operand to read from our array. Okay, so we're accessing the second element here and the first element. That's in the first iteration of the loop. Now the loop is done, it runs again. Now we're accessing the second element and the third. Then the loop runs third and fourth, fourth and fifth. So you can see we're always accessing the current element and the next. We find the product of the two and we write it back to the current element. Okay, and that's how we got these results. So here we're modifying it, then we print our separator, and down here this loop simply prints out the array to the screen, which you see there. Alright, how did we get to keep the last value the same, unchanged? Okay, if you look at our loop didn't run 10 times. Our loop just ran 9 times. We're saying size minus 1. Okay, size is 10, so we just simply subtract 1 from whatever size is, because size might be increased to 100 in the future. And when we also don't want to run through to the 100th element, but we want to run to the 99th. So we just say whatever size is, subtract 1. So we're going to the second last element, from 0 all the way to the second last element. Okay, so this loop didn't modify the entire array, it just modified the first 9 elements. And that's it. And then when we print all 10, so you can see the 10th and last element remained unchanged.